As part of its approval of two loan tranches totaling $2.4 billion for Pakistan, the International Monetary Fund, better known as the IMF, has laid out a fresh set of conditions aimed at tightening economic discipline and pushing long overdue reforms. The new demands, detailed in an IMF staff report released on the 17th of May, include 11 structural benchmarks that Pakistan must meet before the next review of its extended fund facility, that is the EFF program, in September. Among the key conditions are the parliamentary approval of the upcoming fiscal year's budget in line with IMF expectations, publication of a governance reform plan, and mandatory notifications for electricity and gas tariff adjustments. These steps are designed to align with the country's fiscal trajectory with the terms of IMF's 37-month, $7 billion bailout program launched in September last year. But the IMF didn't just talk numbers. The report took note of rising tensions between India and Pakistan, warning that sustained or worsening hostilities could increase enterprise risks to the country's economic stability and reforms efforts. It also flagged potential reputational risks to the IMF itself if its funds were seen as misused. The fund noted enterprise risks have increased, adding that tensions with India could undermine both fiscal goals and broader reform commitments. The timing of the warning is significant. It came just a day after Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh criticized any financial aid to Pakistan as equivalent to terror funding, urging the IMF to reconsider its support. Despite these geopolitical undercurrents, the IMF confirmed that Pakistan's authorities remain committed to the reform agenda. According to the report, the government is focused on restoring macroeconomic stability, building foreign exchange reserves, and advancing structural reforms to encourage inclusive growth. To address concerns about misuse of funds, the IMF clarified that disbursements under EFF are specifically intended to bolster reserves and not to fund non-priority spending or imports. The report emphasized careful fund communication will be essential to underscore the fund's neutral role and avoid misperceptions. The newly introduced benchmarks cut across several critical sectors. For instance, Pakistan must pass legislation to lift the cap on the debt service surcharge and table laws to liberalize trade, including lifting restrictions on used car imports by mid-2025. Energy reforms are also on the list. By 1st of July, the government must issue notifications to adjust electricity and gas tariffs to reflect actual costs. Further, the IMF wants Pakistan to make permanent a levy on captive power plants to encourage integration with the national electricity grid. Longer-term obligations extend beyond September this year, including phased removal of incentives in special technology zones and the publication of a financial sector strategy for the post-2027 period. Earlier, on the 9th of May, the IMF Executive Board completed the first review of Pakistan's EFF program, unlocking $1 billion in immediate funding and approving an additional $1.4 billion under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility. That brings the total disbursement so far to approximately $2.1 billion. Meanwhile, India abstained from the IMF board vote, citing Pakistan's poor track record with IMF programs and the risk that international aid might be diverted to support state-sponsored cross-border terrorism. These concerns were reiterated in an official statement by India's Ministry of Finance on the 9th of May. Despite these objections, the IMF's latest report shows no indication of changing course yet. However, the growing regional friction and strict economic benchmarks set the stage for a tense few months as Pakistan works to meet its commitments ahead of the September review.